Welcome to the Future Proof Leader. I'm Jessica Raypatch. Thank you for being here today. Today I have Patrick Gorgen. He is the founder of DevPort Studios. Patrick, thank you so much for joining us today. Today we're talking project management, we're talking AI, processes, and anything else you have to bring to the table. I always like to kick it off by having you just kind of tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for having me on, Jessica. So I'm Patrick Gorgen. I founded and run DevPort Studio out of St. Louis, Missouri. So right now our core focus is developer staff augmentation. So we are providing our development services to agencies, software companies, and e-com predominantly. But really, it's a good fit for anybody who is working in tech, needs some extra resources but doesn't want to commit to, say, full-time or the freelance route. So we kind of split that middle, and we give our clients dependability, speed in our tech services. Again, predominantly development, but also work and design as well. And then project wise is a big focus on software that we're building or maintaining, updating for our clients, as well as websites and some mobile apps along the way. So that is our core focus of our business.
I love it. Yes, you're a busy guy.
For
Okay.
sure. We got our hands full.
That's amazing. Well, thanks for being on. I'm going to dive right into the questions because I just want to hear your expertise on a lot of stuff. So, from your perspective, what are the most common challenges you're seeing when companies are trying to use AI to standardize processes?
Well, that's a good question. I think one of the biggest challenges from my experience so far is just kind of that. I know there's several different phrases, but kind of like the yes man mentality that you might get if you're kind of like, I think, shallowly working with the LLMs. And what I mean by that is just kind of like doing light communication back and forth, like one prompt or whatever. You're going to get some confirmation biasness, which I think can send you down the wrong track if you're kind of using it for speed and not really like kind of using it as like a tool to bounce off ideas or really flesh out an idea. I think that can be a little bit of a trap. So that's something that I would just like throw up caution to when trying to fine tune processes.
So, what do you say to a CEO that kind of has that mentality? How do you change it?
Well, honestly, before jumping into a tool, I would ask them kind of like what's the goal that you're trying to solve for, or what's a problem that you're trying to overcome, and then really start to understand like where you should take that. Because obviously there's a lot of buzz. All the tools that are out there are changing daily, and there's a lot of usual suspects already, which is kind of crazy to say that you've already got like kind of your go-tos because it just feels so fresh if you step back. So yeah, I would start there, and then who knows, maybe it's not just throwing your problem into an LLM. Maybe you still need that hands-on consulting work that's really manual, even though your friends are getting everything done in 5 minutes instead of 5 months. I would really just stick with what's the problem and then kind of back into how can we actually solve for this. So I would start there. Chances are you can probably use one of these amazing tools, but I think that's a good starting point so you don't go down the wrong path.
We see that all the time, literally. People want to automate the bad processes. I just had a podcast on
Yeah.
this. Stop automating your bad processes because half the time they have the wrong tool or the wrong process or
Mm.
both. And you can get to the solution in a better way, right? So from a project manager standpoint, where do you see things typically breaking down? Is it planning, execution, or communication?
That's a great question. I think for our work in particular, it would be the ongoing communication. And maybe this is typical for anything that's a more project based and might take days and weeks, if not months. But definitely, we just as the team grows, everybody's spread out, remotely and globally. I think the ongoing communication, you've got all the different tools, making sure that data from everybody's machine, the computer, their system, their Slacks, their ClickUp is not isolated on their side, because that's only as good as it's kind of getting out and having more eyes on it. So if your PM has all the data on their Apple Notes, that's great. Glad that they're a good note taker. But if it's not getting distilled and shared, and then I'm coming into a project because I might have a client check-in call and I don't have any of this, and then we're chasing it down. That's where it really kind of gets cumbersome, and starts to feel inefficient. So, that's something that, as my background is sales, before founding DevPort, and so I think I am untraining myself to be a better operator, because in sales you're kind of like working for yourself in a way. You got your overarching goal for a company, but really it's about like, finding your method of how you work best. But when you're running a business, you got to take a step back and make sure that everybody's kind of like under that same fold and working together as a unit. So that's something that I am really focusing on: improving our operations, communication, ongoing. Yeah. So hopefully that answers the question.
No, it does. And I actually agree. I would have picked the same one. I guess my interest is, how do you tackle this with companies? Are there certain AI tools that you have been seeing very successful for centralized communication, or
Yeah.
is it more of just like a process? After you do this, you'll enter it into the CRM. Is it a process thing? Is it both? Is there, I mean, like, what are you guys doing to help with communications and companies?
I think it's both, honestly, because for say like taking client calls, a lot of them are over the computer or phone, versus in person for us.
Yep.
So just having that AI note taker, the Fireflies, the Otter, etc. It scares me to think about what my job would look like if those tools didn't exist, because I don't know. I would just be nervous to find out, like, how are we tracking all these details of this project. So definitely, I think we're enabled to have better processes because of the tools. But again, if it's living in Fireflies or Otter, somebody might not know that if the process isn't followed. So I think you have to have the good communication. You have to use those tools and then follow your processes. So for us, that would be taking those notes, making sure that you get out, say, the client follow-up email, also into ClickUp if it's relevant for the task, etc., Slack, what have you. So yeah, I think it's definitely both the tools and the processes.
And I love that. A Firefly is something that we always use, and I think it's amazing. I think in a world of 2026, when we have these AI tools, communicating after the fact of meeting, where everything's recorded for you and then turned into so subscribe for you essentially,
Yep.
there's no reason why people are missing information, unless they just don't know understand how to put that in their processes. And then Slack, that's something we actually love to, for our internal team networking. There's a cost to it if you want to make it legitimate, but I think just the centralized tools these days, I couldn't be more in agreement on that. The communication is so important, and it's much easier if you have the right tools to do it.
Absolutely.
Cool.
I will say one thing to add is, don't just throw it over the fence. I had this example come up the other day where it was top of mind for me in this client call, and all this is coming back fresh right now. And I was going through the call. I was like, okay, so I was literally like, so for the Fireflies recording, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z. And for some reason, it almost seemed like the transcription was worse. As I was really trying to call it out, I went back to the notes. I was like, oh, that didn't capture any of this. It was very like painstaking details of like every section of the website that we were going through, and for some reason it just did not pick this up. So my point is, tools are great, but don't just throw it over the fence. Make sure that it's getting all the information that you need in there, that anything's missed, because I think that speed is amazing, but if you start to rely on that and you're like, "Oh, we're good," like I can just like copy paste, or like if you have an automation, even better. But that could really send us, like, if I didn't check that, that would have sent us down this horrible slippery slope of like taking care of tasks that were only half baked, basically, and not all accounted for. So that was eye opening for me. That just happened like 2 days ago. I think it was on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, so that's funny you say that. So I was just talking to a client about this. Everybody wants the new AI tools, but the training behind it, or they're just using like, I see two things. They're getting the AI tools, but using like 10 to 15% of the capability, which is kind
Mhm.
of, it's just like, guys, it does way more than that. Well, I don't know. I just did this because this is intuitive. So it's like they're buying tools using just a little bit of it, or they're buying the tools, but then not taking the time to teach their staff how to use them either. right? So in your case, like if you're recommending tools, I assume with your services, you'll say, hey, for your business specifically, X, Y, and Z would be appropriate, but let's take some time to learn how you implement those tools and then what the procedures, how it affects your current procedures.
Yep,
If that's
absolutely. Absolutely,
that's
we
good.
do.
Okay, so here's a question. Part of your mission is scaling businesses. I know you have a sales background. I saw on your overall mission, it's like scaling businesses is what you kind of do. So when it comes to lead generation, where do you see businesses struggling with consistency the most?
Well, that's a great question. I think having quality conversations, I know I struggle with that even. Just running my business, and my North Star is making sure the operations running smoothly, but then also like externally, making sure that we're hitting our numbers or our sales goals and whatnot. I think if anything's not running efficiently or you're not getting the right message out to the right audience, that's got to be maintained, and it's consistency so that you can get those quality conversations. I think there's a lot of tools out there, but it's kind of funny that I feel like the more these AI personalization tools come out, the less personalized it feels in those emails. So like again, taking a step back, making sure that you're just delivering authenticity and really trying to solve somebody's problem, I think will go a long way, as opposed to getting something out there quickly, getting as many messages out there in front of people, and you're just talking about yourself. That's not going to serve you or the client well.
Yeah, it's hard to find a tool. We obviously do lead gen, so we research a lot of other tools, and it's hard to find tools that kind of hone in on your brand and your voice. Like you
Mhm.
said, they're pretty generic. People are spitting these out, these systems, very rapidly using OpenAI to write the scripts and stuff. And I think what differentiates people is when they're taking the time to write their own scripts, but also to make it look and feel like each client, because we're also unique in how we run our businesses. The keywords in our industry are important, those hit home with clients. So if you're sending out, cold email or whatever, and you're not using any of the industry terms, it's not going to be relatable and people aren't going to click and respond. So that's, I agree with you on that one. Okay,
Yeah,
I like to
absolutely.
end on a cool one. All right. So if a company wants to start using AI effectively today, what's the first process they should focus on standardizing?
Ooh, that's a great question. Any particular business in mind?
It's all up to you. You're I like it.
I
I make it open ended because I like to see responses I get. So
Absolutely. Okay, so if we were thinking industry agnostic, business agnostic, I would say really you leverage the tools, whether it's OpenAI, Claude, even a screen recording tool. What I would do is take a step back and start to detail your processes, even just like writing down like what do I actually do throughout the day, and then start to try to record that in either like record it for yourself, see if there's any efficiencies that can be had, record it so that you can distill that to your team for like an SOP. I would start there because I think that will free up your time so that you can put your expertise into running the business, working with clients, etc. And then you can figure out like, okay, now we'll streamline our client updates, what have you. But I think if you start internally, one, you're going to know your processes best. Two, if say the Fireflies doesn't record everything properly the first time,
yep.
not that big of a deal because it's just your internal process that you're doing anyways manually. You're just trying to kind of record it and templatize it a little bit more. So I would definitely start there. It's something that we have done personally on our team and continue to do, and it's been a huge help because when we started this 4 years ago, we were just kind of like running around doing whatever we can, taking any projects, and we didn't really think about processes. And now, as we continue to mature, it's really helped, and especially as you're trying to hit bigger goals, bring on more people, et cetera, it's only going to help you.
Absolutely. So for companies listening, so I think a lot of people are building these teams internally, the AI teams where they're trying to assess where they should go. I think that they mostly know their processes, but then they get stuck into validating that's where
Mhm.
they should be, and then finding the correct implementation strategies And I think that's where you come in on top of supplementing other companies that just don't want to pay full time. I love that. That's like a really cool thing that you guys do. So where can people find you when they want to get reassurance and bring you in and make sure they're doing this is the good process? What system tools I should be using? Can you come help us set it up? Where can we find you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking that. Yeah, we do everything from the strategy audits to evaluating, looking at integrations, the way, technical approach and strategy to building out things. So if you'd like to connect or find me, I'm on LinkedIn, just Patrick Gorgen, Gorgen. It's my last name. And then our website is devportstudio.com. So that's where you can find everything about what we do, our services, our team, and how we can help you out.
Amazing. I love it. All right. Well, I have more questions for you after the podcast. So you're going to stay on. But for the rest of our audience, thanks for tuning in today. Like I said, check DevPort Studios out. They can help you. I know everyone's needing some direction with AI today, and you are not to do it alone. Nor should you. So, yeah, reach out and we will see you next time.
Thanks, Jessica. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Patrick.